So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Takeaway Podcast. I have my blood brother, my light-skinned brother from the same mother, Pastor Herbert Wash. In the family, we call him Superb. All right, but we want to dive in and talk about some relationship stuff today, and I'll let him because he's not a man of a few words. He knows how to communicate very well. I don't need to speak for him or for his beard. You see his beard? Can man talk to him, little bro? Talk to him.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? Like you said, I'm Pastor Herbert Wash. My name of my church is Glad International Ministries.
Glad is an acronym.
Glad is an acronym.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Run it.
And it stands for God's love and deliverance being shared abroad. Jeremiah 31:3. And so I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have this opportunity to share this, and talk about this because I believe that not only is it healthy for us, I believe it's healthy for you. That it helps and we deal with the hurt, deal with it head on.
So, yeah. So man, hurt is the word.
Yeah.
And it's a phrase that's been quoted many times before that hurt people, but we never really dive into where the hurt originated from, who caused it, how we added fuel to the hurt fire, right? We put logs on the fire. Man, I've been knowing you your whole life. I've been knowing you your whole life. I feel so old right now. So you're 34.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you're 34. You're married.
Yeah, I'm married, happily married.
Happily married. Yeah, your wife love you, man.
That's right.
Yes, she love you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, sis, what's up, Steph? What's up?
It.
What's going on? And you have 3 children.
Yep.
All right, they all grown and home.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hurry up and get one from work. She already text me. I'm ready. I'm getting off at 2.
They
hurry up.
They are grown and home. And you've been married how long?
I've been February will be 10 years.
February will be 10 years. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Many didn't make it.
No.
Hey, but I know you glad you one of the ones that did.
I'm yet holding up.
Okay. All right. Hey, we come from a single mama home.
Yeah.
We come from a single mother home. Our mother was formerly, just throwing it out here for many who don't know our story. Our mother was a sex worker, a prostitute. We were born to her. At the time, actually, if you want to talk about that part instead of me, I'll just kind of segue into it. At the time that Mama had you, she was a full-time prostitute.
Yeah.
Sex worker.
Yeah.
And what complications? There were complications with pregnancy. There were complications while she carried you. She was getting high. So for you to be a preacher, a man of God, a leader at your job, an amazing little brother, I mean, all of this didn't have to happen. You're a blessing even be here. But if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that is such a blessing. That is such an impactful, prideful thing to know. But behind it, what goes behind that? I'm glad you asked. What goes behind that is after hearing the stories of how being in that full-fledged activity where I shouldn't have been here, and stories of she jumping out of a speeding car on the highway that could have prevented me from being here and was able to escape. God used that little window where the car didn't have no inside latches that she couldn't just open the door and roll out. She had to roll her way out. 9 months pregnant with me, rolling her way out of a window that was just barely enough for her to escape. And so she shares the testimony or shares the story that after rolling out, after jumping out, she's praying to God, Lord God, touch my baby, cover my baby, and if you just save me and save my baby, I'll do what's right. And so every time I talk about the story, it does bring back memories. It brings back chills because of the fact that I was that close, of not being able to be born. And then after being born, was diagnosed with sickle cell, and so had to stay in the hospital for longer than expected, because of that. And so that right there is another molehill of not only could have not been born, but then now potentially being born with an affliction. But it's only by God's grace and His mercy that I'm here today. You know, sickle cell free. I'm here today with no ailments, no hangups. You know, and all I have is what I have and what I know, and that I know now. You can't take that away from
I'm
me.
trying to tell you. I'm trying
You
to tell
know.
you. So there was a fight before you got here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got here, and there was this fight against sickle cell and various things. And then internally in our home, we know Mama is an awesome woman of God now. God was building her testimony then. So then we talked offline and we talked at lunch last week. And I think as I look at this camera and as I talk to these folks, we have to understand that roles are major. Roles are major. Roles can be cataclysmic, or roles can be detrimental. True. Right? So cataclysmic means this major thing that happens. And so Mama prays to God. God answered her prayers just like me and you. But then she still don't immediately do right. So because Mama not in her role, now I have to step into a role. Right? And I know the brother is supposed to be the brother, not the bootleg father. And I was like a bootleg father. But you remember I used to take you to your bowling meets and go to PTA meetings and all that stuff.
I remember.
Yeah. So it's like I changed your diaper, right? Like, and somebody need a diaper change. When you need your diaper change, it's whoever can change it, right? Right. So we at Granny house. Right. We downstairs, we upstairs, we at Granny house. It was nothing for Mama to be gone a few days. Right. And I had to hold down the fort. Granny working overnight. Everybody's pulling together because Mama really not where she need to be. Now I believe that God used that for us to be the men that we are today. You're amazing, Father, and you've never met your biological father. True. Right? You're named after. I'm going in. So you're named after my father, who's not your father. Correct. When did we find that out? You was like 13. Grown. No, it was 13.
I was 13.
Okay, you was 13, and that's like what? That's crazy to think. For 13, even though our daddy, I love you too. I'm taking you to New York next week. But our dad wasn't the best dad. The dude he is today, or my dad wasn't the best. The dude he is today, he wasn't nowhere near that dude back in the days, right? So to have this dude that you can say, hey, you're a deadbeat. Hey, you need to change. And then to figure out he ain't even the dude. It's like having a target on the wrong person. And you want to talk about that?
The last instance I remember with that is I told him, "You ain't my daddy." Sitting in that park in the driveway
of my house,
of Granny's house.
Okay.
And we were living downstairs, I believe, at the time. And I said to him, "You ain't my daddy." And he said, "Yeah, I ain't your daddy." And he came over, I believe it was, to bring some money. And I think it was like $10, $20.
Yeah,
was
for
like,
all of us.
For split that between three young men.
Stop crabbing, bud.
and so I remember that. And so from that, I was like, how are we supposed to take this $30 and split that between three of us?
And we ain't seen you in 2
years. I ain't seen you forever. And then all of a sudden you show up talking about, split this $30, right? Wow. And so from that, it was a spinoff to find out, to get that understanding or that clarity to do. I think at that time they were doing the swab or the DNA or whatever when you file for support or whatever, food stamps and all that, so forth and so on. And so
he really should have just doubled down on us, on you, since he ain't paid nothing for us. But that's my daddy.
And so that was a like a Band-Aid, with a what you want to call it, with a sore under the Band-Aid that wasn't healed.
Was it even a sore? Yeah, it was a sore. It was a sore, but it was still bleeding though.
Still bleeding.
We put Band-Aids on it.
Right. And so when that happened and the testing came out that he wasn't my father, it was like the Band-Aid being ripped off all over again. And now this pain of now being numb and being painful, that now I don't even have a ownership of being able to look to someone and say, that's my father. You
Shout
know.
out to Brian. What was Brian's last name? Short.
Yes.
Shout out to Brian Short. He was one of our mother's customers,
Mm-hmm.
and then he married her.
In her words, he would be like her knight in shining armor.
Her knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
Brian took me fishing.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't catch nothing, but you were his child, man.
Yeah.
You know, and thank God for the guys. Um, and it's unique we having this conversation. We didn't talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
You married a woman that already had 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I married a woman that already had 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
We raised their children.
And stepped up.
And now I'm about to be I raised their children. I raised children, grandchildren, and now I'm about to be a great grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, great on the way. Great on the way. And it's crazy that we came from that. Mm-hmm. We've seen an example through Brian. Mm-hmm. No need to bash mom and daddy. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. But we've seen an example in Brian. Mm-hmm. And man, I know we didn't talk about this, but I think Brian will be so proud of you today, man.
Yeah.
I think he will be so proud of you, man, the man that you become and what you endured. And just to be talking about this today, man, I'm proud of you. You know, I know it don't mean a lot. I'm dark skinned and everything, but you know, so how did that experience make you look at Herb, which is you got his name and he ain't your daddy,
right?
Which sucks kind of sometimes, you know, right?
Yeah.
So how did that make you? How did that cause you to feel about Herb, about Mama, about me, about Jabari, like about our other siblings? How did that make you feel?
Honestly, that was what you want to say, for the sake of a better term, that was hurt, that was pain, that was anger, and resentment for years, going around smiling on the outside but hurting on the inside. And it wasn't until dealing with him, it wasn't Herb, it wasn't until a few years ago, I believe, that that was really resolved or dealt with when we went for the funeral.
So you're saying from 13 to what, 30?
13 to about 25, I believe I was.
Okay, so we talking about 12 years. We talking about the second half of your life at that time.
Yeah.
Wow, no closure.
No closure.
And how did it happen? Was I there?
You wasn't there. I don't.
Is that
believe.
when Barry had the thing with his leg when him and what's his name was fighting that Grand Air?
No. That's we went back for the funeral for what was it, Malik, or what was the other?
Michael.
Michael, yeah.
Our brother Michael.
And I was in the back seat. Jabari was in the front seat with him, and he looks over at me through the rearview mirror, and he says,
"You were in the back seat."
I was sitting in the back seat.
Okay, was I in the back seat?
No, you were already at the or on your way to the funeral home or whatever. We were going to the wake.
I want you to hold that thought because they don't know what that was.
Gotcha.
So, our brother, who's not our blood brother, but our brother, who our dad raised,
right?
Right? It wasn't his son. He raised him top notch, right? Nothing's wrong with that.
No.
He grew into that. So our brother was shot and murdered, and we're in California. It's the wake. I have to preach his funeral the next day, and as brothers, we jumped on a plane with Lois, and we went. And I'm not with y'all at that time. I'm wherever I am, and you're in the car with Herb. I could say Daddy. You're in the car with my father and our brother, going to see, going to view the body of our brother.
Yeah, and I can remember we're on the highway, on the freeway, and we're maybe about 20 minutes out.
We say freeway in Canada. Okay.
We're about 20 minutes out, and he looks in the rearview mirror and he says to me, he says, "I know you may hate me, or I know you may have ill feelings towards me." He says, "And I know I'm not your father, but I still love you as my son." And I could have just melted sitting there in that back seat. I could have just disappeared and rolled up under the seat because, and I'm glad you said why, because I had been waiting for those words for all so long, and I rehearsed those words, how it would sound, will it ever happen, and when that moment came, I didn't know how to respond. I responded in silence. I responded in a nod because I didn't know how to accept it. Because for so long I hadn't yet to receive that, and I didn't think in a million years it would ever happen, you know. And as I said, my brother was sitting in the front seat. He didn't know how to respond. He just looked over because it was out of surprise.
That's barred.
Yeah, it was out of surprises. This is the same brother when the DNA results came about. He goes to confront the situation, like, how dare you, how whatever. He goes to his job and says, "You're the worst dad ever. Why would you do this? Why would you allow this to happen?"
That's Barry too.
That's him too.
Yeah, well,
and so
you ain't gotta think how he feels.
He gonna tell you exactly how he feels.
With Sunday school work.
Yeah. He gonna get in your face and let you know. And so as I'm sitting there, he's like, "I don't care what's been done in the past, but I still love you, you know." And he says, "I'm sorry." And from that moment on, at 25 years old, waited on this from the age 13, but didn't get it until 25. It just like brought me up to speed of something that I had been potentially waiting on. That now it's like a light bulb clicked on in my life, because the guy that once rejected me and betrayed me and threw me to the side like I was a piece of trash in the garbage can that I didn't belong, he now says to me, I want to accept you as mine.
And I'm not defending him in any way, but we talk about the roles,
Mm-hmm.
and we love our mom,
Mm-hmm.
but our mom was a sex worker at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, he was her pimp for some years of
Mm-hmm.
that, and they both were wrong, but because her role was off and she wasn't responsible,
Mm-hmm.
she labeled someone the parent
Mm-hmm.
that was not the parent,
Yeah.
and that brought it back to you. And talking about hurt, and talking about how God matures us all. You know, it's not a. I probably talk to him 2-3 times a week on a good week,
Mm-hmm.
once on a bad week, and every time I talk to him or D,
Mm-hmm.
our, which is my grandmother, which we call D,
Mm-hmm.
um, um, they always ask about
Yeah. And it's funny you say that. I just literally got a chance to. I spoke to her on what was that, Saturday, when we were leaving the hospital from seeing Miracle with the baby.
you.
She called Jabari's phone, and he passed me the phone, and she was so excited to hear me on the phone. She was like, "Oh, my baby on the phone," you know. And even with that, receiving love from her, receiving love from Auntie Vicky, that would suffice, but that still didn't
It wasn't the same.
change the role of what I felt like I was missing. You know what I mean? It didn't take away the sting of what I felt like should have been there.
Yeah.
You know?
When you talk about what was missing, thank God for Brian, by the way.
Right.
But when you talk about what was missing, how did it get fulfilled? Like how, like, did you get it where you can find it? I mean, I know our fathers. My father is my father, and I love him, and it's things I get from him. But it's some things he can't give me because he didn't get from his dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, our grandfather had 20 something children. You know, 2 of the women were sisters. You know, all this stuff. So I come from this background. Sometimes you got count your blessings, right?
Right.
Right. I'm talking on your end, right? So I come from this background that's just so dysfunctional and all of this. And how can he give me something he never got? And I think about my own self sitting on this side of the table because, you know, I got it from Deacon Jesse Martin.
Right.
From who was a deacon at the real church. I got it from Kevin Cabarrus, who's younger than me, right? Mm-hmm. I got it from Elisha Paris, who gave me an opportunity. I get it from Elisha Paris, who gave me an opportunity to do some things. You know, it's just you know, I get it from older white men who are not. We don't have anything in common except Jesus and manhood and other stuff. And I've got it wherever I can get it from. I had to piece it together because there wasn't a man. And by the time Brian came in, and it was a hell of a man to you. I wanted to be grown then. I shifted, right? And I'm telling Brian, who's
Who's
being a
boss?
father. Yeah, he in the place of a daddy, right? My father ain't there, right? And I'm telling Brian, you ain't my daddy, right? He didn't ask to be my daddy. He loved my mom off the streets, right?
And he was just with open arms, willing to love you. And he's like, and you're like, no, I'm gonna take your fine red card.
Jacked up, right?
Right.
So it's like, where did you get it from? And then I got another layer of that, you know what I mean? That I want to ask. Where did you get it from? Where did you get? How did you find out to be a man? Who taught you manhood stuff? Like, where you get that from? Then?
Trial and error. Okay. Honestly, at this point, it's been trial and error. I mean, gleaning and watching from your life, Jabari's life, different men, different, different pulling from different straws, like you said, and ultimately God. You know what I mean? Because Mama was Mama. You know what I mean? And
she's a great mom. I mean,
and she's great. She's great.
She was Mama of the Year. She was a good mama.
And a lot of the things
she's still not a man.
Right. And a lot of the things that I learned is some things I learned from Mama. Some things I learned from, like I said, gleaning and shadowing and watching what to do and what not to do. You know what I mean? Growing up with although you got it from the butt from the yuck and you ran the streets and did whatever, but I watched. That's my brother. You know what I mean? And then Jabari the same way. Those are my brothers. You know what I mean? And so shadowing it of seeing what y'all had to go through taught me that I said to myself I would never want to go through none of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's where I got it from. And then developing a reservoir to protect myself from that ever happening again.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I say, you're the holy brother, and I need prayer, but I gotta say it like I feel it. It's really a damn shame, Pastor Watch. It's a damn shame that we put young boys in this position where they need to receive something and they're not there. The fathers aren't there, or the men aren't there, or nobody sees the need to give them this, right? And man, I did a bootleg job of trying to be a brother slash dad, and that was the wrong role, man. That was the wrong role. I got put in a position to give you something that I didn't have at that time, and it's so many watching, so many listening, so many who may not have our same past, but they can relate to the comment I just said. It's a shame, man, that we put kids in an environment that didn't actually be here. Boys, particularly, sons with no father, and they have been conditioned some by mothers, right, who tell them they don't need them. Yeah. So I'm in this bootleg position. Mama get with the Lord. She do her thing with Jesus, but she was still kind of unstable in some areas. And at that time, I'm a little bit more stable. And you kind of, I don't even really know how it happened, but she was kind of going somewhere or moving somewhere or sick or something. And I think that's a whole nother podcast, but I think health plays a major part in this. With hurt, affects our health. And how did you get to the house? Was you and Mama staying with me, and then Mama left, and then you stayed?
We were both staying with you, and then she moved back to California.
Okay.
Because of health and because of
Did she go to take care of somebody else? Did she go to take care of Granny? So she went to take care of Granny.
Yeah. Well, at that time, I think it was Auntie Curl.
Okay. Yeah. So she went to take care of Auntie Curl. For months, for years.
For months, years, move in, see about, and that's our mother. She loved to say the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. All in one shot.
But
if
you were in the house.
Yeah.
The whole time. It gotta be a part of you say, well, what about me? How you gonna leave me here with Jarvis?
Yeah, that was the question. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Jarvis of all people,
and not even that. No shot to you, no shade to you, but it's like, okay, you my mama, you my parent. You know what I mean? And you're leaving me with my brother, not my father. You're not leaving me with my dad. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're leaving me with my older brother to fend and to, but okay, how his life is, he trying to piece things together. He trying to stay together, keep it together, and then you trying to get it together. But
I got 3 kids. Was Duke dead yet?
No.
Murdered already?
No, not at that time.
So I got Dude, Mitra, Kiki. and you.
Right. And so you're trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
With all of that.
With no point of reference.
None.
I've had Brian in the house maybe a year or two, but you know what I'm saying, that I can remember that I was actually in the house when I got sentenced to prison 14.
Cutting up.
15th birthday. Yeah, cutting up the foolishness.
Yeah.
I got y'all. Y'all got to come. That was so. I need to apologize for that. I know I've been apologizing a lot. But I need to apologize for that, man. All them Thanksgiving and Christmas, y'all had to come visit me in jail, man. That sucks. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go see my brother in jail. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in the California Youth Authority. It was crazy, man. Hey, do you think the apology brought closure?
Yeah. I believe so. And I feel it to be true.
Why? Why do you think?
Because it helped aid me to close that part of my life off. You know, and what I mean by that is it helped me to check that off my list of things I was looking to happen, you know. And when it came, like I said, it came by surprise, but it was meaningful, you know, and it was needed, you know, and it helped me to open up my heart to forgive.
Thank you for that, Daddy. Thank you for that, man. You came through, man.
And where I wanted to be still mad and angry and hold them in rejection, it opened me up to forgive.
I'm coming back to rejection, but listen, let's look at the milestone and what God did with this. So, if my time frame is right, you've been married 10 years, right? In February, you were 13 when you felt the rejection. You were 25 when it all came full circle, right? So that was right around the time you were married or you were about to get married, and you were about to take on this thing with a woman that had 3 kids. How old were the kids?
They were 8 and 10.
8 and 10, yeah, because you got 2 sets of twins. I mean, you got a set of twins. 2 sets of twins. You got a set of twins, and then you have a son. Okay, so rejection. Can we talk about rejection?
Yeah.
You start. Let's not talk about the world no more. Let's forget about mom and daddy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about us rejecting each other.
I mean, rejection caused.
Tell me what I did. Tell them what I did.
Rejection caused for a closure to push love away. You know, rejection also opened up resentment because at times when I felt like you should be a brother or just brother me,
I tried to bootleg.
You were trying to daddy me and tell me I should do this or do it like that or do it like this, and I'm like, I didn't need that. You know what I mean? All I needed to do was like, bro, you good? You know, check in, not check up.